Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Now look at this. Now it doesn't look fantastic out here, but I tell you what, it's bearable. It's like 45 degrees right now. We're going to get up to about 58 to 59 degrees today, but that is going to come with a price. Now yesterday it was about 61, and I checked all the hives over here in the home bee yard, and they were all flying. That little hive over there, that little one right there, the blue and yellow, now that one had some issues when we were looking at it with the thermal camera, and that one still got issues. I saw some girls coming and going, but I don't know whether they were being robbed out or whether it was just a small colony, but it had a lot less activity on the front of that hive than we had on any of the others out here. Now, again, today it's going to get up to 58 degrees, I think, and normally I would say, hey, we're just gonna go ahead and get in that hive and take a look, and we might do that, but I can't guarantee it, because as soon as the sun comes up, and it's coming up, we are expected to get 14-mile-an-hour winds, because I tell you what, we have an Arctic blast headed our way. We might get a second round of snow. Now, the last I saw, they were predicting between 2 and 4 inches for my area, but this storm looks like it may dip further south than where I live. And if that's the case, then it looks like South Georgia and even North Florida might get the snow, and I might get spared. Anyways, I do have girls waking up and going out while they can. They're zipping out and going foraging, but there's nothing to forage this time of year. I mean, it's just, there's nothing out there. But at least I do have activity on the front of the hives. Now the goal today, because again, we've got 14-mile-an-hour winds bringing an Arctic blast down here, the goal today is gonna be to spend some time in the shop and get prepared for the 2025 bee season. Now I've got a lot to do. Now I just finished these 20 hives that I'm gonna be using at the Honey Creek Bee Yard. Unfortunately, for me, I don't know that I have 200 deep frames to fill those 20 hives. Now I know that I have foundation. I have enough foundation to make it happen. I just don't know if I've got enough frames. So I'm gonna go through my old woodware, see if I can't find any old janky frames that I can rehabilitate. And if I can't rehabilitate enough, we might be on the table saw trying to figure out how to build our own frames. Let's head to the shop. Hey bug farmers, welcome to Bug Farmer Beekeeping, where we dive into the world of apiculture, beekeeping, and bees every week. This is the place to share laughs, explore bees, and learn together, all without taking ourselves too seriously. To join our buzzing community, it's easy and it's free. Just hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, and let's cultivate beekeeping knowledge and fun together. Now, let's get into the bees. All right, so I tell you what, I just looked outside. We're not going to be getting into any hives today. I thought maybe I could get into that one hive, but it's not going to happen. It's not a reality. We've got a big freeze coming in the upcoming week. Actually, on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, we're expected to get some snow and some freeze rain and some ice. And I don't want to get into any hives where I have to break the propolis seals and then we can let cold air in. I just don't want to take that chance. So we're going to let those girls sit out there, do their thing, and the next nice warm day that we have with no more cold days following it, we'll get in and check those hives and make sure that the bees are all okay. Now you're going to notice Ryan Hall, y'all, is on the screen behind me, and you notice this giant, I'm doing a weather for you right now, this giant blue, well, and the gray right there. Well, the gray is ice and the blue is snow, and it looks like Mike Berry's going to get some snow. I'll probably get some more snow. People in the panhandle are going to get some snow, a lot of ice. Ice is going to go all the way down into Florida. It's just not going to be good. But if you haven't heard of Ryan Hall, y'all, I highly recommend you take a look at his channel. He has updated weather. We've known about this storm for about 9 days now. He's been bringing it in for us, and now the local news has started to talk about it, but we knew that it was coming. And Ryan Hall's a pretty accurate guy, so it's not just a shout out for free. I'm not being paid to tell you. It's just somebody that I follow, and you're going to see him up behind me the entire time. I don't have the audio turned up, but I promise you he's saying something. Anyways, today I'm down in the shop as I've been because it's wintertime, and I'm trying to prepare for the 2025 bee season. I've got a lot of stuff to do. Now, we've built the hives for the new bee yard. We have painted the hives for the new bee yard. I've actually put a second coat on those since you've seen them last. The lids, I've got all of the lids done, and I even went back and redid the American lid. I thought I had it with me. I'll show it to you. I'll put it on the screen. I redid the America lid so that our flag lid looks as good as the other flag lids. So there you go, and there you have it. But I've got my bottom boards painted, my lids painted, the hives painted, everything's painted. Those hives are ready to go. The only problem is they don't have any frames in them. I've got to put some frames in them. Now what I need just to populate a single deep box in the new bee yard is I'm going to need 200 of these. I need 200 deep frames. Now I have some old deep frames that are kind of janky, and I'm going to try to clean a lot of those up. I've actually taken one and taken it apart here so that I can get some measurements, because today I'm going to be building some deep frames. We're going to build at least one. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but if it turns out okay, I'll build 399 more, or 200, 199 more, however many I need to get through this season. I've also, in preparation for the 2025 season, I will be waxing foundation. Now, this is some pretty nice double waxed foundation that I've come across, and I'm going to let you know later on, not in this video, but later on, where you can get it. And I tell you what, it is okay. I touch it and it actually leaves sticky wax on my hands, so that is some good stuff. But if you want to wax your own, you're going to need some wax. This is the sum total of all of the wax from all of my uncapping last year. So it turned out pretty. I just wanted to show it off in this video. But you are going to need some wax, and you may not want to build your own frames. You may not want to build them from scratch like we're going to do today. You may want to buy them. Well, you can buy them. These are my mediums for my honey, and I purchased a bunch of them last year for the farmyard for the Demeray splits. I have some left over, so I'm going to be using these mediums in the new bee yard this year. So I have plenty of medium frames. Will I go back and wax these? I probably will. I don't think there's any wax on those. So I am going to be waxing a bunch of these frames. Not today, not in this video. This is just some more stuff that you have to do for your spring prep. Now, if you're a beekeeper like me and you like to use bucket feeders, and I like bucket feeders because they put a lot of syrup on the hive, both in the spring and in the fall. See, a lot of people don't realize that you can and you should start feeding your girls 1-to-1 sugar syrup in the spring, right before the nectar flow or right when the nectar flow starts, until they quit taking it. Once the real stuff starts coming in, they're going to quit taking this. But what you need to do is make sure that your gaskets are in your lids, and I just had a gasket fall out. Make sure that the gaskets are in the lids, and also make sure that your screens are clean. You want to make sure that if the girls have waxed it or propolised, that you clean that out, and you can do that with steam or hot water. Either one will take care of that. But let me tell you the importance, really quick, before we move on, of giving your girls some 1-to-1 sugar syrup, or even maybe 3/4-to-1 sugar syrup, really light sugar syrup in the spring, especially if you're putting a lot of new frames and new foundation in there. The girls use the light nectar to build wax, to build out the frames in your hive. And I tell you what, if you're putting a lot of empty frames in your honey supers, and you need the girls to draw those out before the nectar flow starts, you don't want them using their fresh nectar that they're bringing in to build the wax for your supers. You want them to use sugar syrup because you can provide it, and you're going to collect all the good stuff for yourself. Anyways, those are some of the things that I do before spring kicks off and before the new bee season starts. Now I also clean up some of my old hives. I scrape the propolis out of them, make sure that they're in good repair before I put them out into the bee yard. Also, like I showed you earlier, if you have to put some new hives out, now's the time. Make sure you get your hives built and ready to go, because I tell you what, for me in my area, by about March 15th, we're in the flow. It's happening, and now that depends on the winter or the severity of the winter that we have. But spring usually comes in like a lion, or March comes in like a lion, and these girls are usually out there just gathering up the nectar. And I can tell you this: last year, I think it was March 8th, when the peach trees started blooming over at the farm, and the bees were just all over it. So it's imperative that I get at least the farm and my backyard in good shape by the 15th of March, and I'm hoping, fingers are crossed, that I'm going to have some bees in the hives at the new Honey Creek Bee Yard by March 15th as well. The goal to populate that yard is I'm going to be taking splits out of my backyard. I've decided to let the girls at the farm alone. Now I've got several hives on pallets over there. I may take them and move those over to the Honey Creek Bee Yard, but I want to leave the queens and all of their brood in those boxes so that they can build up really, really quickly and start bringing in the goods. Because last year, that bee yard brought in about 1,200 pounds of honey, and I don't want to do anything to prevent that from happening again. Now, I'm not going to be doing Demeray splits this year, or what do they call it? The Demeray manipulation. I'm not going to be doing the Demarest manipulation. I got so much heck for that. People were saying, well, there's not a Demarest split, it's a manipulation. Well, okay, I'm not going to be doing the Demarest manipulation this year because that took a lot of time and that was very, very hard on my back. So I'm going old school this year. I'm just going to be stacking supers, and that's what we're going to do. Anyways, before I go any farther, I'm going to go ahead and clean off the bench. I've taken some measurements. We're going to go through and make one or two of these things and see if it's going to be feasible for me to crank out 200 deep frames this year. If it is not, I will go ahead and buy them from a beekeeping supply store and do it that way. But right now, the goal is for me to build 200, and I'm not going to do all 200 in this video. We're going to do one or two. But my goal is to have 200 of these things built by next week. That's the goal, that's the plan. We'll see what happens. I mean, next week's video might be me putting together hives, I don't know. But let me get all of this stuff cleared off, and then we're going to jump over to the radial arm saw, which is the old version of a chop saw, but it just goes this way. It can do this too, but I'd rather use that than my chop saw. So there you go, there you have it. Let me get my stuff cleared off right here, and we will zip over to the chop saw, and we will zip over to the radial arm saw, and we'll get going. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to make is I'm going to make the side piece. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick, a little hack. I'm going to be using a 2x4. The side piece is pretty much as wide as a 2x4, so all you have to do basically is slice this thing up after you've got it the right length and you've put the dado cuts in the top and the bottom. Now, in order to do what it is that I'm going to be doing today, you're going to have to be using some shop tools that require you to pay attention to safety. Also, you may or may not have all of these shop tools, so you may not be able to do this project, but you're welcome to stay. You're welcome to watch how I build these frames, and maybe you have a different way that you could share with me. And if you have made a video on this, you can send me the link. I'd be happy to look at it. You can put it in the comments and share it with everybody else down there so that they can look and see how you make your frames. But this is what I do. I'm just going to hack it out of a 2x4 because that's what I see that I have. And I think I can get quite a few of them out of here. So let's start by cutting these things 9 1/8 inch long. We'll verify it. Measure twice, cut once. 9 1/8. That's the key. Okay, so this is what it is we're going for, and the best way to do that is to put a stop block. If you're going to be making a lot of repetitive cuts, you want to put a stop block on your saw so that you can cut the same cut over and over and over again, and you don't have to measure each time, and they always come out the same. So right now I've got a stop block set up at 9 inches. Is it 9 1/8? What do I have here? Let me look. Let me verify. Double check before we do it. 9 1/8 inches. So let's go ahead and cut a couple of these off, and we'll go to the next station. Okay, so now we're at the jointer, and this is what we've got. And what I need to do is I need to make sure that I've got a flat edge here. I also want to take a little bit of meat off of this side and this side, because the way that it sits, it's just a little bit too fat for a frame. Now, you might be able to use fat frames. That's okay. I'm sure they'll fit in the beehive because there is enough space in there. But I want to make sure that these things go through my equipment. So I want to make sure that they're exactly like the ones that I can buy. So this is what we're going for. This is what we're going to end up making, and you can see where we're going to take the dado out in the next step. But that's what we're looking at, and if you look, we've taken approximately 1/8 of an inch off of that board. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Right, so now we need to put a dado right here and a dado right here. So the way to do that is with a dado blade. So I'm going to have to take this blade off. We're going to replace it with a dado. my blade is set to 9/16 right there. We will drop that on like so. All right, so now we should be able to get a dado that's 9/16 wide. Let's put some sort of a guard up here. I want to make sure that's a little bit more safe. Basically, let's put something up just like that. All right, now we have to reset and do the 3/4 inch side. That was the 9/16. Now we're gonna do the 3/4. All right, now we're gonna do the 3/4 inch side. So the dado's 9/16 on the bottom, 3/4 on the top. Okay, so the next cut is 3/8 of an inch, and that is the width of our frame. I've actually got a piece right here. I've already cut 3/8 of an inch. I think that'll do it. All right, let's rip some. All right, so now we've got the small end dadoed and the large end dadoed. All we have to do now is put this shape on it. Then we've got our side pieces, and then we're halfway done with the frame. I mean, this takes quite a while to build your own frames, but in the end, it's gonna save me a little bit of bread, and that's always a good thing. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to put a shoulder on these frames. So basically, we need to take some material out on the bottom of the frame on each side. So I've put a wooden fence up against my metal fence. We've got the dado blade back in there, and then I've got a stop right there. So that should mean that when I run it through, the shoulder should stop right there. I'll flip it over, do the same thing on that side, and it should put a nice shoulder on each one of these frames. Let's give it a shot. All right, so now that we have these done, it's time to move on to the top and bottom bars, and then it's gonna be time to assemble a frame. I'm not putting all these together in this video. I actually have to go back and make a bunch more of these, but they turned out okay. This is I guess the prototype, and this is what we made. So it's pretty much the same thing. Well, this one's got a nail sticking out of the bottom of it, but it's pretty much the same thing. So there you go, there you have it. Let me set up my radial arm saw. We'll rip a couple of pieces this long. We're only gonna make 2 of these really quick, and then I'm gonna call it a day because my fingers hurt. I'm tired. I know it's only looked like a few minutes on the video, on the camera, but I've been down here for about 2 hours doing this now. This is just tedious, repetitive work. So let me get the radial arm saw set up to get the right length. Then I will cut a 2x4 to this length, and then we'll make one set of top bars and bottom bars. All right, let's run a couple of these through here. that's enough for 6 frames. That's 6 tops. We'll set that right there. Now what we want to do is actually put this groove in here. While we're here, we might as well. It's going to be 1 saw blade width. Now what we need to do is break out the dado blade again. All right. Now I think we have what we need. Let's tape this right there. What we need to make our tops. Let's give it a shot. Let's try to make one. All right, I fouled up. I cut the big fat ones as my top bars, not long enough. I cut the skinny ones as my bottom bars, too long. So I've got to make this again. Not fun. It's more than measure once, cut twice. It's make sure you're cutting the right piece of wood. All right, let's make the small ones, and I've got to cut some more big ones. All right. So this is going to be 3/8 inches. Guess what we have? We're getting there. I just need to remove a little bit of meat off the top of these top bars. I think we'll be ready to put a frame together. All right, I'm gonna put these on the sander for a second, clean them up, make them look pretty, and then we're going to build a frame. All right, so have you ever had one of those days? I mean, just it's been one of those days, right? So the last thing you saw is I finished these and dumped them on the bench. And then I went on to making the top and bottom rails. which this is a top rail. This is a completed bottom rail. But the key word is completed. See, my memory stick ran out and I lost the footage of me on the table saw and on the radial arm saw and with the dado blade cutting out this groove, well, actually this bar, this groove, this dado, and then I went to the sander and I sanded them up and I made them look pretty, and you missed all of it because I'm having one of those days. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead, we're going to put together one of these frames, we're going to put some foundation in it. We're going to show that you can make your own frames, and then I'm going to tell you whether or not I think you should. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure my compressor is plugged in and turned on and I've got air so we can put this thing together because it's been a bad afternoon. But that's okay. You're going to have a good day. Let me find my glue. Here we go. Tight Bond 3. Lovely. All right. Little glue. There we go. There we go. Let's put a little glue here. Little glue here. I probably should have used a different one because this one's got a knot in it. It's a knotty one. I don't know that I want to do a knotty one. Let me get my mallet. Get on there. Get on there. All right. Let's put a couple of nails in it and we'll get the foundation. Let's we'll nail it once through here. All right. Yeah, good measure. Why not? Throw one right down there. Let's get some foundation. And let's see. Have we done it? Have we created our own frame from scratch? Yay, we did it. Now, should you build your own frames from scratch? I mean, if you can, you can. I have the means, I have the tools, I can build my own frames, and they turn out. We can even see if they fit. Let's see if they fit. But see, the question is this. Just because you can do something, does that mean you should do something? I've been down still. Yes, they do fit. So I've been down in my shop for hours. I mean, I've been in my shop for hours. We can go back to the beginning of the video and see what time that clock said, but I've been down here for hours, and I've managed to make enough components for 6 frames. I've got 6 top bars, I've got 6 bottom bars, and I've got enough sides to make many, many more. But I mean, that's a lot of time and a lot of effort. Now, granted, it was cheap because, I mean, 2x4s are cheap, and I just chopped one up, and each length of 2x4 that I cut to this length, I can make 6 top bars, and for each length of 2x4 that I cut to this length, which is smaller, I can make 6 bottom rails here. The only problem is time. It takes a lot of time. So, if you're trying to get your spring preparation done and you've gotten all your other chores done and you have nothing left to do before it's time to launch your bee season, and you have the tools necessary to make frames, hey, go ahead, bang them out. Me, I'm going to buy frames from a bee supply house. I mean, they make them assembled and unassembled, and it's going to save me a lot of time and effort, and time and effort is money. So I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. But we know that it can be done. We've built our own frame. It is possible. So there you go, and there you have it. So with all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. If you have something to say, by all means, please comment. And if you've not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, take a moment, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell to be notified of my new content. I do try to drop a video every Friday. We try to keep it light and have fun. So with all that said, be happy. And I will see you next week. Take care.